Today on a special Rambling About Cars, Super Bowl commercials part 2, we're going to talk about the Ram 1500 REV, which is Ram's official production electric truck that was shown during the Super Bowl. We also have some new news on Buick Encore GX. We are talking about Fast X. We are talking about all kinds of other little newsy, interesting tidbits. And we have a new person, a new team member at Motor One that we're going to introduce you to tonight. So let's roll. It's podcast time. I am Christopher Smith, and Mr. Chris Bruce is across the way. What do we have going on today, good
and
sir?
As always, please like, subscribe, comment. We love all that stuff. And update about going live. Tentatively, we are working on this. It looks like if you had to ask me right now, second week of March, I think it's going to happen.
I think that's a pretty good time frame. Second week of March.
Right now,
Rambling
pretty
About
sure
Cars
second week
live.
of March is going to be the first live episode. In fact, you know what? I'm putting my stake in the ground. Second week of March, we're going to go live. I'm going to make sure it happens.
This is a scoop. This is breaking news. This is stuff that I didn't even know about. Bruce didn't even know about it until Bruce
I just started talking about it.
That's how crazy we are. Rambling. Hey, you know what? Second week of March, it's on. Oh wait,
anyway,
can I do that? Yes, I can do that, and you can do it too.
Yep.
We'll be sure to check in on us. So, but right now, what do we have going on?
Well, I want to introduce Mark Webb. He is the newest news writer at motor1.com. And yeah, Mark, go ahead, introduce yourself, tell the folks about yourself. Tell us, what you're doing. Give us a little bit about your background. Tell us why you like cars, please.
Sure.
The floor is yours.
Or just ramble.
Or just ramble.
Because we're really good at that.
I am great at rambling. So thanks both of you for having me on. This is a treat. It's funny. I actually have a blog site that I started years ago called the Open Road Rambler. So rambling has kind of been a bit of
theme.
We totally didn't steal that from you.
No, absolutely not. Wow. Okay. So I've always been nuts about cars. I've driven my parents nuts about cars. I'm one of those kids that, like, when I learned my colors, I learned them off of cars, and except it wasn't like blue car, green car, red car. It was like green Pontiac, blue Oldsmobile, red Buick, or something like that. I mean,
that's not white. That's just Wimbledon white.
That's right. Yes, exactly.
That's Corridor red.
Sierra Mist or something.
The teacher's like, what color is this?
Exactly. Yeah. And all those colors and stuff like that. I had a subscription to Road and Track forever, and all the different car magazines, and just geeked out all of that stuff. And so when I got out of school, I was trying to figure out what to do. And my dad was like, and I'm actually getting to the age where I'd listen to my parents for advice, but he's like, why don't you find something to do in the car business? So I went to work for a small dealership for a few years, and, did sales. I went to auctions. I did, all kinds of stuff. Just loved it. But, it was kind of a grind, and
it's a different lifestyle. I did that too. It's a different kind of car lifestyle. Not really.
It is. I've got a lot of respect for those guys. They're not all the shady plaid suit wearing guys. A lot of them are just genuinely good guys that like cars and like people, which is why they do it. But got out of that, did got in a sort of financial IT technical world for a while, and then just like, you know what, I should do something with cars. I really miss that. There's something, and it's like I started following like Autoblog when it first started, and a couple of the other sites, and I was like, all right, well, maybe I could start my own blog or something, and kind of scratch that Walter Mitty itch type thing, whatever. So did that for a while, and then I'm like, well, what if I could get actually like write for someone else? Because there's like maybe 3 people that read my blog, if that. So just started applying a couple of places, and got a freelance spot with Internet Brands, and did that for a while, and did some stuff with Motor Biscuit for a while, and then Seth reached out to me. He was on Twitter. I follow him on Twitter, and he's like, hey, we're looking for some guys. And so I pinged him, and here I am. So it's just great to be here. And I've been here for 2 months, 3 months now. Started
Yeah, we
before the
were doing.
holidays. So
Yeah.
I mean, we were doing some training stuff. What,
Yeah.
like the end of last year, I think, weren't we?
end of last year. So
Ah,
learning
it's
how to
decades
not
ago.
screw things up too badly.
Yeah, when you figure that out, let me know, because I'm still there. And I mean, hey, you started off with just a blog on your own. I think that's how a lot of people started. That's
Yeah.
sort of how I started. And then I started with Seth way back in the day as well. And congratulations, you've gone from 3 people on your blog to 5 people on Rambling About Cars. So
Oh, that's mean.
okay,
I've almost
10.
doubled the audience. That's great.
10. So no, we are super stoked to have you here.
Yep.
Ramblers, you need to go over to motor1.com. Mark is writing stuff just a little bit through the week, and then he's doing more stuff through the weekend. So you want to go check out. He's a fantastic writer. He knows cars.
Now you're being too kind.
This is going to sound a little hokey, but I know. I mean, there are a lot of car writers out there that like cars and know cars, but at the same time, then they kind of really don't. It's like they've learned about it through just a very narrow focus. And when you read Mark's work, you can
Smith,
tell.
don't talk about me like that. I'm right here.
We're not talking about Gundam models, Bruce. Give me a break here. But no, Mark, we're happy to have you on board. We're super excited to have you on Rambling About Cars, because rambling is what we do best. So really looking forward to all of this. Let's get into some news, and we're going to talk here about Super Bowl stuff.
Yeah, we're actually going to start with a story that you and Mark had a lot to do with. Smith, you wrote the bones of this post, the original version.
Yes.
And then Mark, you were working hard on Sunday to update it as we got all of the various Super Bowl stuff coming out. So
yep,
this was kind of a tag team effort between you guys.
Yes. Well, and Seth was really involved too. We got to give a shout out to our editor in chief who was perched at the Super Bowl, or not at the Super Bowl, but watching it from home, ready to come up with any and all new car content that was related. And this year was a little bit of a strange year. I'm going to say it was a little bit of a down year. We didn't see as many car commercials as we usually do, and we didn't really get that many ahead of the game. I think we only had two confirmed, and one that might have been a teaser that I think turned out to not be like remotely correct at all, but still came out around the same time. So Mark was watching the Super Bowl. Seth was watching the Super Bowl. We got probably the biggest one there, and maybe the biggest one of them all, is the Ram 1500 Revolution. Sorry, they're not calling it Revolution, just the Ram 1500 REV, R-E-V.
Mm-hmm.
It was, but Smith, I am going to ask us to let's set that one aside for a moment, because we kind of want to make the Ram 1500 REV its own topic. Sure. So let's talk about the other one. The other two, technically, we didn't see before the show. Both of those were from Jeep.
Right.
And for anyone who watched the show last week, we already saw the Will Ferrell one from GM and the Kia one with the Binky. That was a terrible ad, at least in my opinion, but it just didn't do anything.
You can go back to last week's Rambling About Cars to learn all about those, or you can go over to motor1.com always and read the articles. I agree. Everything was just kind of, I think, a bit of a downer. Except maybe Ram, but we'll get to that in a second. So
let's talk about the two Jeep ones real quick. As always, I am sorry, folks. I'm not going to play the ads here because, as you know, my refrain, the American copyright system is broken. And I'm afraid that if I play the actual ad, that this is going to get taken off of YouTube. So
they'll
just
flag
trust me that the ads exist, and you can see a screenshot of them here. But Mark, do you want to talk about Jeep's parking spot ad with the Wrangler 4xe and Grand Cherokee 4xe?
So I didn't really get a whole lot of that one. I missed that one on the page.
Let's jump to the other one, because the parking spot one was sort of the teaser that came in ahead of time, that we technically had, but you had Electric Boogie, right?
Yep, I had Electric Boogie. I got thrown that one by Seth, and I mean, it was I don't know. Do you want me to comment about the
Yeah, I mean,
ad
this
itself or the Jeep
I mean,
or
Give us your
both,
opinions
or
on it. Tell the folks about it in case they missed it.
yeah,
Because
yeah. Well, I
I'll
mean,
be honest with
let's
you, I
describe
didn't
it
watch the
since
Super Bowl. I decided to do a Chris Farley double feature of Tommy Boy and then Coneheads. So I didn't
we
even see
we
the Super Bowl.
we had the Super Bowl on because I have 2 TVs set up in the living room, just because I can, right?
there you
Yeah.
go. Yep.
We had the Super Bowl on one, and then we had like just Puppy Bowl reruns on the other.
That's a good
And the
choice.
Super Bowl was
Oh, there you
muted,
go.
Strong choice.
and we were generally watching Puppy Bowl. And then once we got to the halftime show, I kept it muted. Pulled up Prince's halftime show from like 15 years ago when he
Oh,
was
that's a
playing the
great one.
Downpour, and that was my halftime show. But as you can see, we're living up to rambling about cars. Mark, I mean, just give us a quick rundown on Electric Boogie. What I mean, since we're not going to show the video, we can't show the video.
Sure.
I mean, just describe what the video was about. Then just, I mean, give us your thoughts on it, man.
So, I mean, it was a 60-second spot for the halftime. I mean, I was kind of surprised that Stellantis came in that big with, several ads. I mean, I don't think they had any ads in last year's Super Bowl, but, so they did their own version of the song Electric Boogie. And I guess they were doing the animals. They had the electric Jeeps, and the Jeeps are like going all over these different places, like the jungle and the Serengeti and like up mountains and stuff. And they're all electric vehicles now. And so meanwhile, the animals are supposed to be like really digging these electric Jeeps. So they're doing the electric slide along with the Jeeps and just sort of dancing and nodding their heads and stuff to the music. And I think I read that yeah, kind of like the Night at the Roxbury or whatever it is,
Roxbury,
that 90s sketch with Will Ferrell and
yeah,
Chris
but
Kattan.
Chris Kattan, there you go.
Yep.
This was, I mean, as an ad goes, I thought it was okay. I mean, it wasn't like didn't blow my socks off. I mean, I think it did what it was supposed to do, which was introduce the electric vehicles that Jeep has and kind of get the word out about them, to a wide audience. But other than that, I mean, I don't think it was all that memorable. It's not like one of those ads you talk about like the day after the Super Bowl or something. It's like, wow, did you see this thing with, so and so? And like I thought we were going to talk about the Bennifer ad with Dunkin' Donuts and Ben Affleck, and it's like that seems to be a little bit more memorable of an ad than
We certainly can. Hey,
Jeep
this is
one, but-
rambling. We can talk about that.
Yeah,
when we
I
go
maybe I
down
shouldn't have
to
gone
it.
there.
No, why not? Go for it.
Well, I mean, we included it in our article.
Yeah, it's in our lineup here.
because
So
I mean, hey,
yeah,
it's a vehicle drive-through, right? So
right. The vehicle maybe is not as interesting, but
and for what
go
it's
for
worth,
it, man.
Mike, I agree with you totally. I mean, I watched the Jeep one. Of course, they're featuring the Wrangler and the Cherokee 4xe, the electrified Jeeps, and it was just like, really, you got digital animals, doing the head bop and doing the running man. It's just it did not stick out to me.
Yeah.
I think the theme in general this year was that the ads were kind of lackluster. Or maybe not the theme. The takeaway this year is that I don't know that I heard anyone talk about any of the ads. And granted, I didn't watch the Super Bowl, so I was going totally on, what people on social media or whatever were talking about afterwards. And I heard barely a peep about any of them.
Well,
so I just think this was a weak year.
You're not wrong. I've heard more about the Bennifer ad than any like Jeep or Kia or GM.
Sure.
Ram maybe we'll talk about later. But yeah, I mean, give us the 411 on the Bennifer ad here, Mark.
I mean, the Bennifer ad was just kind of silly, and I think it's just memorable because I mean, people love pop culture, and the whole Ben Affleck, Jennifer Lopez thing has been. It's gone around before. It was big. Now they're like back together. Now it's big again. I mean, it's like, people love reality TV, and this is like real life reality TV, basically. But the commercials just, Ben's working at the drive-through at Dunkin' Donuts, like slinging donuts and serving coffee, and people are freaking out when they see him. And, he's like, one point he like looks at the guy, goes, "You know me." The guy's like, "No." I mean, so it's just
I
it's
love
like
that though. It's like totally real.
it is, and it's like it's real, and it's just funny because it's like he's kind of making fun of himself,
Mhm.
and then Jennifer pulls up, and I guess like a Lincoln Aviator or something like that. We were trying to figure out what kind of car it was, and it's like, well, it's got to be a Range Rover. I mean, wouldn't she drive something like a Range Rover? And no, it's like some kind of Lincoln. It's got like an is it the Aviator? And so we figured it was probably the Aviator, and she just like lays into him at the end of it. She's like, "What are you doing here? Is this what you do when you say you're going to work?" I mean, you know, what, she's just really giving him the business and giving him a hard time about working at Dunkin'. But I mean, it's just funny because you see two people that are obviously famous and are kind of
Mhm.
making fun of themselves, and oh yeah, it's a Dunkin' ad. I mean, then you realize what it was for, but the whole thing was just kind of a humorous take
Mhm.
on a relationship that like everybody seems to watch.
And I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming they were paid to be in the ad, right?
I'm sure.
I don't know how much
Who,
else
Ben
Dunkin'.
Affleck? Yeah, I think he got. I
They
don't think he did it for free.
you might be paid in
just a few
donuts.
donuts and some coffee, maybe. I
There
don't
you
know.
go.
But I would wonder how much Dunkin' Donuts spent on the rest of the ad, because that seems like a fairly inexpensive thing. We'll just put a movie star at a Dunkin' Donuts, let the cameras run. There we go. Versus Jeep. What do you suppose Jeep spent just in CGI?
Sure.
60
Yeah. I
seconds
mean,
worth of dancing animals in CGI, right?
you
Well,
think
it's
about the
doubly
cost of a
funny
Super
in a
Bowl.
way. Uh,
Yeah, you think of the
Sorry,
cost of a
Mark. I'm going to
Super Bowl
interrupt
ad.
you just super
No, go
quick.
ahead. Go
It's
ahead. Go ahead.
doubly funny in a way that I don't know if anyone is like a frequent Saturday Night Live watcher, but years ago, well, not too long ago, probably pre-pandemic, I bet it's 2018 or 2019, Casey Affleck was on SNL and did a fake ad for Dunkin' Donuts. And so it's
Oh
funny
wow.
that now his brother did a real ad for Dunkin'
I
Donuts.
didn't know that. Look at Bruce coming out with the
That's
pop culture pro
yeah,
level
no
here.
kidding.
Wow.
So I was just thinking, you think about how expensive these spots are. I mean, it's like what, $7 million for a
Reportedly,
30-minute
yeah.
ad or something like
Seven
that. I mean,
million this year
so
for a
so
primo ad.
you've got Jeep, and they spent, yeah, to your point, how much did they spend on like all the computer graphics and the AI and all this other stuff? And then you have what looks like a single camera comedy like The Office or something in a Dunkin' commercial. I mean, it's like the guy could have been like standing in the drive-through with an iPhone and just recording this, and it was an actual Dunkin' Donuts, and maybe cost him, I don't know, $20 in coffee or something to make this, plus whatever they paid for people's time. I mean, it's and
Yeah,
it's more memorable. I mean, they got more bang out of their buck for it.
I agree. I agree totally. I did hear people talking about that. I didn't see it run during the Super Bowl. I wasn't. I had other things going on during the Super Bowl. I wasn't paying close
Like the
attention this
Puppy
year.
Bowl.
Which
There were
which
puppies
is
on to television to
which
watch.
is why, Ramblers, you can go to motor1.com and look at this
Yep.
article directly, because I mean, yeah, we have all of the main car stuff, but
Yep.
then we have like this, like the fringe stuff. Do you want to talk about the Fast X trailer right now? I mean, that's on our
Sure.
list.
All right, yeah,
Um,
here, let me switch tabs over there. We also saw the Flash trailer, which revives the 89 Batmobile.
yes, I did
Yeah.
catch that one, and I wasn't expecting that at all. Actually, Mark, do
No.
you want to talk? Can you talk about that one a little bit?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that caught Seth and I completely off guard.
Yeah.
I mean, we're watching this thing, and I'm paying attention to the Super Bowl this year because I'm from Kansas City. I live in Kansas City, and so you've got to root for the Chiefs. Um, so we had it on, and it was kind of fun because it's like we'd get word of some of these commercials, and so we'd like sort of get something ready for it, and I'd tell my to look like I'm kind of a big deal to my wife or something. I'm like, hey, there's going to be this really cool commercial coming up, and we'd uh, then boom, that would show up, and like the first one was the Electric Boogie Jeep one, and she's like, eh.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
She's not
and
wrong.
no, she's not wrong. She's a great judge of these things, and then all of a sudden this Flash thing pops up, and we're like, what's that? What's under the cover? Is that the Batmobile? That's the original Batmobile? That's the one from Michael
Well,
Keaton Batmobile.
Yeah, not the original
Not the
Batmobile, but like
original, right?
the original cinematic Batmobile. And I mean, we'd heard
Right.
rumors that Keaton was going to be, returning to his role of Batman.
Right.
I was not expecting it in
No.
the Flash here, and
I wasn't
just full
expecting it during the
disclosure,
Super Bowl either. Like
I'm
I
not.
thought, because
I'm not
the
a big
rumors,
DC
if you
person,
follow
so.
this stuff, this movie has maybe been shelved. There's
Right.
a lot of rumors about
Mhm.
this movie, but yeah. So the fact that they did a Super Bowl commercial for it was a pretty big surprise.
Oh, it was. And if you watched, I mean, I call it the original Batmobile because it's like, I grew up and that was like the
Yep.
Batman was Michael Keaton,
Yep.
and not the comedy half-hour show from the 60s, but this was like true to the comic book Batman.
Mhm.
And of course you have Jack Nicholson as the Joker, so how great is that? But and I always thought that original Batmobile was probably the coolest of all of them, because then after that it's like, well, let's let's add some neon lights to it and let's make it look like
Let's
it's
make the
part of the
fins
Fast and the
bigger.
Furious.
Yeah,
Right.
let's make
fins bigger.
the fins look like wings from an F-106 fighter
Right.
jet or something.
Right. Yeah. And this one just, I mean, it looked cool, so I just seeing it was just like, kind of get excited about it again. It's like I want to go back and watch the movie. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, we were still talking about that afterwards. It's like that was the Batmobile.
Yeah,
Right.
and I mean, Super Bowl commercial again. Go over to
Mhm.
motor1.com where you can see all of these. I think the Transformers had an ad in there just
Yep.
before the game. We don't need to
They
go
did.
over that. I mean, we actually have an article already. It's cars that transform into robots. I know I have a bunch of them behind me, but yeah,
Smith is
we've
not
got
talking about the Transformers. That should give the folks in the audience an idea of his view on this film. He has
a
carte
transforming
blanche to talk about
1964
Transformers.
Porsche
He's like,
911 should be Jazz, not Mirage. You're hearing it right now. I'm angry. I'm gonna start a campaign, a write-in campaign. No more of this. No more. That should be Jazz.
okay.
All right.
That's
Next
your time.
up, I'm rambling about cars.
Exactly. So let's talk about the Ram Revolution. Let's talk about the ad for the Ram Revolution briefly, and then kind of the fact that it debuted, because that was a big surprise, at least for us in the automotive media for the show, because we did not know this was coming.
Yeah, usually we get a heads
No.
up, and we didn't have a heads up this time.
Nope.
And this is a big deal because this is Ram's production version, basically, of the concept that they previewed.
And Ram
earlier
has been very I don't want to say sneaky, but they've been sort of like teasing a lot of it. It's like, well, here's the new Ram, and no, that's just a concept vehicle. Now here's the new Ram. No, this is the concept vehicle, and it's like,
here's the new
kinda-
Ram.
right. And now all of a sudden, boom, there it is. It's like, oh, okay, wow,
like full picture, the whole shot.
yeah.
Mhm.
Ram 1500 Rev. And I think this is coming late 2024.
Correct.
So it'll be a 2025 model. It's, I mean, certainly coming out, after its crossover rivals, GMC Sierra, Chevy Silverado EV, and of course the Lightning.
Lightning's already available. Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't really have any details on it yet, other than here's
No.
what it looks like.
Yeah, we don't really have any details. I mean, we know it's going to be electric.
Yep.
I don't know if there's going to be a hybrid or partial hybrid electric version, or if it's just going to be fully electric, or if they're going to do something like with the Lightning, where they have, with the F-150, where they have the Lightning as a separate, almost brand or model.
Right.
Or
I mean, we've heard that there will be like a range extender,
Right.
in at least one of the versions, whether it's across the board. Like I said, there's still a lot we don't know, but we do know what it looks like here after this commercial, because then Ram dropped a series of photos showing from all angles on the outside, and being that it's electric, you have the obligatory look, I'm plugging in my vehicle. We don't get pictures of combustion cars. Look, I'm gassing it up, but hey, it's electric. It's a new thing.
But I mean, it's Ram's first fully electric pickup. So you can understand why they would do that, why you would put out, you used to be a PR Smith. You can understand why you would put out an image like that, because if media uses it, then you get the point across immediately.
Yes,
that's true.
you do. And, going back to the commercial aspect of this is a car commercial that I think people were talking about the next day.
Yes. Oh man, they really, I mean, you get so sick of, at least I do, of all those like drug company ads where it's like, you've got somebody with like restless foot, or where they're just like half their body is sad or something. And it's
I'm
like,
gonna
they can't.
I'm gonna steal something from Chris Rock that he did like a long time ago in a comedy bit. It's like, do you go to bed at night and wake up in the morning? You might have this. It's like they're gonna keep saying things that you might have until they get to something that you're gonna have. Oh my god! Okay, this is what you need. So yeah, I'm with you on those.
And then at the very end, it's like the announcer says in that sort of low, like whisper voice that's talking really fast, may cause drowsiness, nausea, vomiting, blood, and and just like all this other stuff. And it's like, dude, if those are the side effects, that's worse than what I've got already. So pass.
And that's the style of this Ram commercial.
It is.
Premature electrification was the title, to make sure we don't dip into an area that's going to get us flagged on YouTube. We'll just leave it at, okay, premature electrification might sound like something else. But it's done in a style of a medical commercial. And Mark, I mean,
it is.
What did you? I want to hear what you have to say first before I jump into my opinion, because I want to see how far or how close we are on this.
So I mean, the great part I thought about the commercial was, I mean, it was like fully spot on with like just making fun of these commercials, ED, EV commercials, whatever you want to call them. And, it's like the guy's sitting here, he's all dejected, and, the wife is like kind of shaking her head. And, it's just like, it was, and I'm really having a hard time trying to describe this, because they were really just skating right on that very edge of decency. And I was like, they got away with that.
Kind of shockingly so. It's like, with electric vehicles, you start it up, but do you have the range to make it all the way? Oh, we start and then we stop. And then we start and we stop. Do you know how frustrating that is for me?
We get up and going, and then it quickly like fades off or fades away, or
it's very it was very risque,
very, very suggestive. Yes. So it was clever. It was really well done, I thought. I mean, it skated right up to the edge of kind of what you would expect might get bleeped, censored, or I thought it was. I mean, that's what made it funny and memorable.
And Bruce, to your point earlier, my background with PR and marketing, I think Ram killed it. I think they couldn't have done it any better. I don't think they could have launched their late to the party electric truck any better than this. They're coming right out and owning it. We're not the first. We're not rushing to this. We're taking our time. We're going through. We're making sure it's right. We're making sure we have the range to get you all the way to the finish. And I mean, just coming out in that way with a funny twist and just owning it and saying, hey, we know, you get the impression that, okay, we know exactly what we're doing here. We know we're not the first of the party, and that's why we are going to be better. And that's, I think that comes through in this ad, and it's a humorous, it's a humorous take, and it addresses the concerns of truck buyers. It addresses the main concern, range. Okay. I'm only gonna, if my truck has 300 miles of range and I'm trying to pull something, now it goes down to 150 miles. Never mind that your range also goes down when you're using a gas engine. It's just you can pull into a gas station, gas up in 5 minutes, and keep going. You can't quite do that yet with electric charging stations. But Ram seems to be going right after that point of, we're taking our time, and we'll get you we'll get you to the finish in our truck.
And it's I mean, let's be honest, in my opinion, it's a good looking truck. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like it's like one of the things that I've kind of felt bad about with Ram and Chrysler products is a lot of them are 15 years old or older, and they just keep refreshing the same thing. And the same was true with the Ram truck, which is sells really well. I think it's like the number 3 selling vehicle in the U.S. behind the Ford and Chevy trucks. But I mean, it's a good looking truck, and they waited, to your point, stuck the landing on the message. And oh, by the way, here's a really good looking truck that is just happens to be electric.
Yeah, I think Ram right now, I think they have the best looking truck on the market. I think it looks better than Ford. I think it looks considerably better than Chevrolet. Sorry, Chevy people. The interiors for Ford and Chevy are good, and the interior for Ram is good. But I just think outside, for so many years, Ram was just going with this big, out of proportion grill just to push the whole size aspect, and I don't think it made a good looking truck. And then when this current generation came out, I was like, okay, this is sharp. And you get a lot of those cues with the Ram 1500 Rev, which again is the production model. It is going into production. It arrives late 2024, making it a 2025 model. And I, for one, am very interested to hear more about it as we go forward.
Yeah, definitely be good to see it.
Only little complaint, and Smith, this is something you and I have discussed before, is the fact that it doesn't arrive until late 2024. So we are in early 2023 as we record this. So we are a year plus 6,
we're
8
almost
months.
2 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be a while before anyone can actually buy this. But I understand. I understand why Ram as an automaker would kind of want to prime the pump and basically, get people ready for this shift, this change, this new vehicle, that type of thing. So
yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good point. I mean, we knew it was going to show up later in 2024.
Yeah, you're right. We did.
I just don't think we expected them to debut the production model this quickly.
Exactly.
So premature debut? Crickets?
It may have fizzled out. It started strong, and then it just kind of,
premature debut. Oh, there's a pill for that. Anyways, we should move on before I say something to get us banned.
Let's talk about another Ram vehicle that kind of fell through the cracks last week because we don't know. I've got to preface this by saying we don't know 100% this vehicle is going into production yet. Allegedly, and I say that strongly, allegedly, Ram is going to be showing dealers let's call it a concept, an idea for a mid-size truck, meaning that they would finally have a vehicle to go up against the Ford Ranger, the Chevrolet, the Colorado, the GMC Canyon, vehicles like that. And it would have an electrified powertrain, not electric, electrified. And so, yeah, it's interesting that it feels like they have waited a really, really long time to enter the space. The Rangers now, hell, we're about to get the second generation of the revived Ranger in the U.S. The Colorado and the Canyon have been around for a while, and it seems like Ram kind of waited around, and they finally decided now's the right time. But at least I guess it's coming. Yeah, or we don't know that it's coming. I can't say that. They are going to show it to dealers, and then dealers might decide, hey, this is something we want to sell, or they might decide it's not something we want to sell. But at least it seems like there's an idea within the company to enter this space.
Well, I think perhaps a little bit more significant here is the timing of all of this, because we've had recent sightings of Ram testing I think like next gen mid-size truck that sold in overseas markets
and South America, yes,
and South America, and I think it's what the Ram 1000 or the Ram 1200 that they call it over there. No indication that it's coming to North America.
Right. No
But
indication that that is the same vehicle that they are showing to
Right.
dealers. We
right,
no
yeah,
indication of that at
yeah,
all.
the crux of the story here is we heard a report that they were allegedly going to show something to dealers.
Right. And full disclosure, this came from
has a
Motor
feeler.
Trend. A
Yep.
reporter at Motor Trend was able to sit down with Mike Cavall, who is the division boss of Ram. And he said, hey, allegedly, he said, we weren't in the room, but
Mhm.
we are going to be showing dealers this vehicle at a meeting in March. And then obviously from there, maybe it gets the green light, maybe it doesn't. But at least, like I said, was saying, maybe Ram is going to enter this mid-size compact. We don't really know, the smaller truck segment that they've been absent from since the Dakota. That
Well, it makes sense that they do it because I mean they really kind of do need a mid-sized truck. I mean that seems like that's been a real popular vehicle for the
definitely.
last couple of years. I mean, I know the Maverick is a smaller vehicle and the Maverick's old news now, but I mean the Maverick hit and it was like everybody was going crazy over it, and it's like the type of vehicle that you know everybody was buying from 20 somethings to grandparents to whoever. I mean, it was just a hot vehicle. And
not only that, but there's the Ranger. There's, like I said,
yes,
the Colorado, the Canyon. There's the Tacoma. There's the
yep.
Nissan Frontier. Like it's a bit different, but the Honda Ridgeline, that these not quite full size trucks, that there's an established segment for those vehicles and people are willing to buy them. And it's interesting that Ram has been absent from that segment for so long.
Well, and if
Let me
Ram is its
throw.
own vehicle, I mean, Ram is its own brand, and I know some people still think it's part of Dodge, but
Mhm.
they need that truck for the brand. I mean,
Smith, go ahead.
I agree all the way, but let me throw a monkey wrench into this discussion really quick, because I remember news from maybe 3 or 4 years ago now. I think when Ford was announcing that, hey, we're bringing the Ranger back to North America, to the United States. So that's been what now, 3 or 4 years or so
Been
since
more than
then.
that. Hasn't it been 5 or 6, I think?
Because, well,
Probably been
if
a
we
5, I
if
think.
we follow Smith timeline, then
Okay.
yeah, it was like a decade ago.
Okay.
Because that feels like 2 or 3 years to me.
I think it's
But
been more than that. Go for it.
the crux of what I remember, because this question came up then. Okay, Ford is going to have a mid-size truck. GM already has 2 mid-size trucks with the Colorado and the Canyon. How about Ram bringing back the Dakota? And the decision then, I think that was when the current generation full-size Ram debuted, and you still had the Ram 1500 Classic, which you can actually still get today. It's if I jump over to their website, you can get a Ram 1500 Classic, which is still technically that old style. The MSRP, it's a starting price of $30,235. And the argument that Ram made back then, if I remember correctly, I would have to look it up. I remember reports saying if we were to introduce a mid-sized truck, it would be priced very close to the Ram Classic. We already have a truck at that price point that's superior to a mid-sized truck in terms of power, in terms of towing, in terms of payload. So we're not going to do it. Now I'm paraphrasing there to a great degree, but I distinctly remember that being an issue several years ago when there was talk of, okay, is the Dakota going to come back now that there is another Ranger? And the fact that you can still go and get that Ram 1500 Classic, I mean, what's the starting price for a Ranger right now? What do we know that right off the top of our heads? I think it's
No,
got to be. I think it's got to be like high 20s or low 30s.
yeah,
high
mid to
20s
high
is in my
20s, I'd
mind.
guess.
I'm
If
gonna
I
look it up
remember
right
correctly.
now.
Go ahead and
Yeah.
look it up, Bruce, while we vamp for you. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's a valid argument. It's like, why create a mid-sized truck if we have this full-size truck at the same price point?
Ranger starts at 27.4
Okay,
before
so
destination.
so it's coming in a little bit less.
So it's probably
than,
28 something with destination, I bet.
right. So I mean, it's coming in a little bit less than the current Ram Classic, and also, I mean, for comparison, Ram right now lists, well, that's 2022. Let me switch over to 2023. Yeah, 2023 Ram 1500 Classic starting price $30,695. Regular Ram 1500 is up to 37,410. So there's quite a price gap between those two.
Mhm.
And if you're shopping for a mid-sized truck and you see a
Yeah,
Ram
but
1500 Classic, I mean,
I think
I'm
that's
I'm gonna
completely
play the
valid.
devil's
I think
advocate here. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here and just,
Mhm.
you know, I'll go back to the theme of the Ram Rev commercial, but sometimes size isn't important and you want something smaller, you know? I mean,
so.
you don't want a big truck. You want something you can park in the garage.
So
And I
Mark,
just got a
you just
fan.
said
sometimes you
what
just need
the
a little
argument.
smaller.
Mark, you've just made the argument I was about to make in a much smarter, funnier way. I
Yes,
was going to
indeed.
say, you used to work at dealers, and this is totally me spitballing here, but I wonder if Ram has buyers coming into dealers, and they know the Canyon and the Colorado and the Ranger and the Tacoma and the Frontier all exist, and they're coming into dealers and saying, "Hey, what can you do for me in this slightly smaller size? I don't need a big truck. I don't want a
Right.
big truck. I've got, my garage, it won't fit in my garage. I don't have the needs
Yep.
for that. I don't need to tow that much. Who knows, whatever." And, maybe a dealer wants to be able to offer someone like that a step down from the 1500.
That is an extremely valid point. It's
It
not
is.
always about just price. It's about the product that you want.
Sure.
And with that in mind, somebody might pay 40 grand for a well optioned midsize pickup truck versus 30 grand for a mildly optioned full size truck. So maybe that's what Ram is seeing now, as they're seeing, it's been a few years obviously since the Ranger has come back. They
Mhm.
can see, okay, the Ranger is pulling in buyers, and we know the GMC Canyon, the Chevy Colorado, they're bringing in buyers. Now I mean, of course, we also have competition from Toyota and Nissan and Honda. Maybe it's the time. What do you think, Ramblers? Email
Yeah.
us podcast@motor1.com. Comment on our videos that go up every Friday on YouTube, Motor One Podcast. You can also
Yep.
comment on our article that goes up every Friday at motor1.com. I had to work the pitch in there somewhere. We're at like the 40-minute mark, and I haven't done it yet. And
We are.
something was itching in the back of my head. I was like, you gotta do it. You gotta do it, Smith.
So I'm gonna
The
let you
light
guys
comes
pick.
on.
I've got an opinion, but I'm gonna let you guys pick. Do we want to talk about Fast 10, or do we want to talk about the Challenger last call teaser? Because we talked a lot of Dodge Stellantis type stuff. So I was just, or Jeep, Dodge Stellantis.
Well, if we talk Fast 10, we're talking Charger.
I was gonna say it's
You're
we're
right.
kind of talking both.
You're kind of right.
You know.
Okay.
Let's talk Fast 10. So
Deal. Okie doke.
of course, the trailer for what in theory is the penultimate movie in the Fast saga, Fast X, the 10th movie. They're just calling
Right.
it Fast X. The first full trailer dropped. The movie comes out on May 19th in theaters. I think my headline was something like Fast X movie trailer features Chargers.
Smith, just look at the screen. I've got it
And
up,
the bad guy. Oh, you're showing it
Mhm.
right here. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm looking at another screen here. Sorry. Fast X trailer shows Dodge Chargers, Jason Momoa wrecking Dom's family. Of course, he's the new baddie in this
Yes.
movie, and
Which means he'll be a good guy in the next one, but based on all the other movies.
Right.
That's how it goes. I mean, I would love to tell you what the movie is about, but I mean that's pretty much it.
That's all we know, really.
His character, Jason's character, I can't remember his name right offhand, but he was the son of
Kane? No, maybe it's not Kane. It's something like that.
The Dante. That's right.
Dante.
He plays Dante. Dante was the son of the main bad guy in Fast 5 that Dom and Dom's family ended up killing. And now he's angry. He's been plotting his revenge for years, and now he's coming back to take out all of the good guys in the Fast franchise.
Right.
Explosions ensue. You see Dom get into his black Charger. No, the other one. No, the
No,
other
one.
black
Yeah.
Charger. No, the supercharged. No, the other supercharged black Charger. There are a lot of black Chargers in the movie. I mean, that's pretty much the crux. They're saying this. I'm probably going to go see it because I'm a fan.
You love
of,
all of these. You're gonna go see
I'm
it.
a fan.
Come on
I'm a
now.
fan of these. I wasn't really. I didn't really enjoy the last one where the Fiero flies to space. I draw my suspension of disbelief at jumping between buildings. Okay, you
I'm
can
gonna
do
be
that.
honest.
You
I
can
watched the
do that.
trailer. Okay?
You can't fly Fiero to space.
Okay. I watched the trailer. I think this movie looks bad, but it's the fact that the Fast and the Furious movies keep going like more and more over the top. It's the fact that again, I'm not going to play the trailer. You all know the refrain for me. There seems to be like a hurricane machine or there's some sort of high wind machine in Italy that causes like cars to fly through the air, but Dom can like outrun the wind.
Wait, when you saw that in the trailer?
Yeah, that's in the
There's
trailer.
something that was flipping cars in the trailer. I mean,
it's like wind.
I couldn't figure out what it was, but
I guess maybe I missed that part. I thought there was like some little explosions that was just blowing stuff up. I was about to say,
man.
I was about to say, okay, this seems like one of the more down to earth, based in reality films we've seen in a while. Maybe I need to go back and rewatch that.
Well, I thought maybe it was like
he forces
bombs under the car and they were blowing up in
together through the torque of his car. What are we talking about here, man?
but again, Fiero in space. This is pretty well rooted, okay? What if that Charger had like 20,000 pounds of ballast in the trunk? It might be able to pull two helicopters together. You're never, right. and I know you're not supposed to say it. I'm saying it. You will never fly a Pontiac Fiero to space.
It would have been better if it had been a Tesla.
I was about to say, Elon Musk is listening right now, and he is going to prove you wrong.
He already has. He's got one in orbit somewhere.
Not a Fiero, a Tesla.
Not a Fiero.
Roadster.
Hey, you know what? If he puts himself in the driver's seat and launches up with it, I'm down, baby. There we go.
Yeah. Don't they?
And it can be a Fiero if you want it to be.
To like seal up holes. Am I making that up?
Doing what now?
In the last Fast and the Furious, they like go into space, but one of them has a hole in their space chute.
Oh yeah,
and they use like
it's not even a space suit. It's like a diving suit with duct tape.
Okay.
And then they somehow managed to get over to the International Space Station, and they're like knocking outside. Hey, but again, by comparison, pulling a couple of helicopters together all of a sudden doesn't seem so bad, does it, Bruce?
It doesn't. You're right. But we should mention it. So cast stuff real quick. We briefly see Helen Mirren, so she is back.
Yep.
We knew Brie Larson was going to be in this. We briefly see her in this trailer.
She plays She plays a rogue agent of this government agency that used to be headed by Mr. Nobody, but now is headed by somebody else that apparently doesn't like Dom very much. So her character is apparently somewhere in the middle. We don't see any digital recreations of Paul Walker in this one.
But frankly, Paul Walker is in the trailer though.
Well, he's in the trailer in flashbacks.
Correct.
We're seeing him in flashbacks to previous movies. And while we're at it, the trailer does give us some interesting callback moments to earlier films. So maybe we're going to see a little more racing in this movie, a little more action of that stature. Don't know. Yep. But from what I've seen so far, I'm pretty interested. There is a point in the trailer. And another part that I'll mention really quick, when you read their description on YouTube, it's like Dominic Toretto and his group faces their most dangerous thing ever. And it's like, you've been saying that for the last 7 movies. It's the same. Just come on, get me a new description. And then during the trailer, Michelle Rodriguez, her character Letty, says at one point, one of us may not come back from this, but we got to fight. You always come back from. She herself came back from the dead.
Yes.
Han came back from the dead.
Yes.
Giselle is
not come
rumored
back.
to be coming back. She's rumored. Gal Gadot is rumored to be coming back. So it's like, that's what you do. You come back from the dead. Anyways, that's my little rant on Faster. I'm gonna go watch it in the theaters.
My take on it is this. I mean, I watched the first movie and I had like injured myself somehow. I'd like torn something in my shoulder or something, so I was on pain medications. My
Were you
wife
living a quarter mile at a time at the time?
I was living a quarter. Well, I was living a quarter Percocet at a time, I think maybe. But I was. My wife like brought it home for me to watch on video, and I hadn't seen it before, the first one. And it's like, the scene where Paul Walker's in that first race, and he's like driving, and he's like tapping on a laptop at the same time, and like this voice is going, manifold overload, manifold overload. He's like, come on! He's like beating the
danger
thing,
to manifold.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is, part of me is like, wow, this is the best movie ever, and then part of me is like, this is just so not realistic, and I've just kind of come to the conclusion that's like, the cars are like superhero. The cars are the superheroes, basically. It's like you watch John Wick or you watch Spider-Man or you watch something, and they're just getting the tar beaten out of them constantly. It's like there's no way they could live through that. They just got like pounded in the head a dozen times with a cement block. I mean, you don't just get up and start punching back. It's like this is it with the cars. I mean, the cars are that way. It's like there's no way a car can torque two helicopters to death, but the car is the superhero. It's supercharger.
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly that aspect. And I will mention again, they're billing this as the quote unquote final chapters of the Fast and Furious.
Well, we know
franchise.
There's 10-2 though coming up. We know part 10 is split into 2 parts. So
well, that's the question. Okay, is it going to be like Fast X Part 2, or is it going to be Fast 11? Point being, everything that we've heard suggests that there's one more movie after this.
I think that's confirmed.
I don't know if it's officially confirmed anywhere. A lot of reports have said, okay, there are plans for 2 more movies after Fast 9. So this is Fast X, that's number 10, and then in theory 1 more movie. The way they're describing it now, yes, 1 more movie after this. Bruce, we were discussing this in our Teams chat because things with the franchise have gotten a little unbelievable. Okay, I mean, there was that like 20
going into
there's like the 20-mile long runway fight scene.
Yes.
Okay, and then jumping between skyscrapers, and then
also let's point out this is a series that started about people stealing DVD players out of trucks. Yeah. That's the crux of the first movie. We're stealing DVD players out of semi trucks.
Now they're jumping cars out of airplanes.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be a wonderful twist if we get into Fast 11 and we learn that they are all just characters in a big video game like Free Guy? it would like make the most sense of all. And Roman would be like, you mean we've been in a video game this whole time? I should be like 11 billion level by now. Sorry, that was a terrible impression, but that conversation stuck out to me, and it's like, that would be such a great way to wrap this up. It won't happen that way.
Well, then Dom would be living his life at a quarter at a time.
A quarter at a time. Level up.
Talking about one Dodge to another. Let's talk about the latest teaser. It is 10 seconds long. Again, I'm not going to play it, but Smith, you got a really good screenshot of it here. We got the latest teaser for the Dodge Challenger last call, the final last call. And it's got this evil looking little thing, I'm going to call it. You and I are fairly certain that it's the demon, although you asked in our team chat, could they be reviving the gremlin, which I think is hilarious.
Wouldn't that be hilarious?
We're done making these, we're making a gremlin. But
the Dodge Challenger gremlin,
which is not a bad name.
The teaser, it's a 10-second video teaser, just dropped today as we're recording. Since we can't play it, I'll describe it. and it'll probably take longer to describe it.
It's going to take longer to describe than the video.
It's a black screen. Out of the black screen, you see glints of red that turn out to be red eyes. Red eye. And then as things brighten up, you see this kind of creepy red demonic looking face. And then it just cuts to like a cutscene billboard advertising
like
the Dodge last
here's where you find out more.
Yeah, the Dodge last call event, which is going to take place in March, 4 weeks from now, where this final last call edition model will be revealed. Just as a refresher for everybody, I think it was late last summer, Dodge announced, okay, we're going to be wrapping up production on the current Dodge Challenger and Charger. It'll be the end of the Hemi. We're going to have 7 special edition models that we're calling last call models. They introduced 6 of those. Some were Chargers, some were Challengers. I think one of the editions in there was available on both a Charger and a Challenger. And then the 7th and final model was supposed to be the baddest bad of them all, right? And that was supposed to happen at SEMA. It was delayed. We didn't hear, officially why it was delayed. Rumors and reports were saying that they were just having trouble just getting the engine dialed in. So that was delayed until March. We're now 4 weeks away. Dodge has started a teaser campaign. They are going to drop 3 more teasers after this that will offer clues as to the identity, the performance, the nature of the vehicle. We already know it's a Dodge Challenger. It was shown under a cover last summer. We couldn't see the car, but I mean, it's an outline of a Dodge Challenger. There's no mistaking that. So we know it's that. It had a license plate on it that said 1 Fast 29, 1 Fast 29. So that had a lot of people speculating, okay, what does that mean? Dodge even said, they went so far as to say that license plate is a clue. So 1 Fast 29, 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds, something like that. Lots of rumors. Some people were saying, oh, it references like an old Mopar build code from 1970. I mean, there is some real cloak and dagger stuff going on here, which I think is just awesome. I think it's great that there's that much excitement. But we take this teaser at face value, pun intended. Boom, ching. We take this at face value. We have a red demonic looking face with red eyes. 2 and 2 together, demon red eye. Would that, am I out of whack there?
No, and also this is something I brought up in our chat, and you seem to kind of disagree with me, but I'm going to put it out to the listeners. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I accept that. If you take the other details of this, you can definitely see it's got this grinning face and these really prominent eyebrows. I am going to show you the logo of the original Dodge Demon when it was available on the Dart.
Right. This is back in 71, 72.
71, yep.
I think there's something there. I think there's a little bit of a reference there. I could be wrong. I'm happy to be wrong, but that's what I see.
No, I'm right there. In fact, I mentioned that in the article. I think it's just further evidence that, okay, this last call model is going to be the return of the Challenger SRT Demon. Obviously, it's not going to be just a carbon copy of what it was before.
No, absolutely.
Because we've heard there was a report also last summer, allegedly leaked information saying that the final Dodge Challenger was going to have its supercharged Hemi tuned to run on E85, which it gives you a little bit more punch. A lot of racers, they'll tune their engines to run on E85 fuel, making over 900 horsepower. So, if you're going to bring back the Demon, call it a Demon Red Eye, tuned to run on E85 with 900 horsepower. That would make it the most powerful production Challenger ever. I think the most powerful Hemi engine ever offered. It clicks all the boxes for going out in grand fashion. So we have the first teaser here.
I think they've got like a couple of crate motors that they're coming out with that are tuned or they're set up to run on E85 already. I could be wrong, but
they have the Elephant, which is a 426 that I think makes 1,000 horsepower out of the box, but it's a crate engine. It's not
Right.
technically supposed to be used for production vehicles. I know there are some tuners out there that are doing elephant swaps, but I don't think you could technically call that a production engine. In theory, this would be a production vehicle that's going to meet emissions requirements, and all that. But I mean, we're at the teaser here right now. We're at the first teaser. We have 3
What
more
if they
to go.
pull it off? What if they could figure out a way to stuff that bad boy in a Challenger Demon or something? I mean,
for a limited production
fit.
vehicle like this, they probably could. If it's, we aren't going to make money off of this, or we're going to price it so high, it's, that we have to make money off of it. I think theoretically it's possible.
I mean, if you can get it to pass emissions, I think even in a limited production vehicle, you still have to, if you're going to sell it at a dealership, I think you still have to pass
Sure,
emissions.
but if the crate engine's making 1,100 horsepower, like we're looking at here on YouTube, even if you have to detune it to 1,950, something like that, that seems possible. Like, obviously we don't know. This is speculation. We're just talking here.
Right.
But it doesn't seem, they already make the crate engine.
Mm-hmm.
Lord knows they can tune it however they want. It's
but
not out of the realm of possibility.
I'm going to put my really bad conspiracy hat on.
Uh-oh.
Go complete X-Files here. And I'm going to say, and I don't know if this is still the case or not, but it used to be you could get around emissions by basically having a kit car. I mean, that's like where the Caterhams and some of these other cars got shipped into the country. They didn't pass emissions. They didn't pass crash tests, crashworthiness or whatever. And it's like you had the car and you had the engine separate, or you had the car and you had to go find the engine. And I would almost, I'm going to really just put myself out there and say, what if Dodge decides we'll sell you the car and the engine separate, so you can just and we'll help you put it in. Don't get me wrong. There's a special way to do that, but and they find that if that's still a way around the loophole or something.
You
I
definitely get the award for out there.
Right. Yeah. It's out there. I don't
definitely
think I
get
agree,
the award for outright.
This is just water, folks. I'm just telling you now. It's water, but
just water. No Percocet.
No Percocet. No Chrysler Kool-Aid. So,
well, let me answer that just based on what I know with what we've seen so far from the last call models, and the way Dodge and Ram both like to handle special edition vehicles. The 6.2 Hellcat V8 is already there.
Yes.
It's not terribly difficult. Well, I shouldn't say that because I'm not an engineer, but I know in the aftermarket scene, I mean, you could do a tune and a pulley and all of a sudden you're making 1,000 horsepower, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't seem terribly difficult to just do some additional tuning on that engine. The package is already there.
Mm-hmm.
Plug it in there, give it some extra power, put the big hood scoop back on it, call it a Challenger SRT Demon Red Eye, 900 horse. It clicks all of the boxes for here's our most powerful production model. And it's I won't say it's low effort, because obviously, I mean, it's been delayed. They're working their butts off to get it all tuned and taken care of.
Am I wrong? And I might be wrong here, because I'm doing some other stuff in the background, pulling up some stuff for our next stuff. So I don't know. Wasn't the rumor that they were having issues with the engines blowing up, or like they were having a reliability issue with the engine that they thought they would use? Am I making that up?
No, I think that was the report, but it was. I want to be clear. It was completely completely unconfirmed.
That was never a confirmed thing or official thing. It's just the rumors that were coming out.
Just a rumor floating around. But I mean, whatever the case is, it's been delayed, and apparently they got it wrapped, because 4 weeks from now the cover's coming off, and presumably, I mean, if they're going to sell it because production ends at the end of this year for the Challenger and Charger, in their current form, boom, that's it. So if they're going to get this thing out, they got to get it out soon, right? So, but yeah, I mean, that's the whole crux of this. The first teaser is out there. It sure looks like the red face of a demon with red eyes. So
Yep.
We'll just have
So
to wait
here,
and see where the teasers take us from here.
real quick, I'm just going to show this. This is a quote that was given to the Detroit Bureau by Dodge boss Tim Kuniskis. I think we got it figured out. If we don't blow up any more engines, I think we've got it fixed. I'm still holding my breath. And that was from November 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you know, who knows if he actually literally means blowing up engines, but there was something was happening behind the scenes that caused the delay. But they, like you were just saying, they clearly have figured it out now, and it's coming.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, check back with Motor1.com every week. We'll try to catch these teasers as soon as they drop to get them out there to share. Because I mean, obviously, this is big news, not just because it's going to be of just an insanely powerful car. I mean, it's the end of an era. It's the end of a very long era. And there are a lot of people very passionate about it. And I mean, I'm among them to a degree. I'm not a huge Dodge person, but hey, they built that Hellcat V8 and it turned the world upside down. It turned the performance world on its head. Here's a reliable 700 horsepower engine that you can drive daily and not have the tires blow up and smoke every time you sneeze on it. It's streetable, it's tunable. And of course, I mean, and that's of course based on the Hemi that's gone back to when the engine was revived in the early 2000s. So yeah,
like
end of a very
2004 or
long
so.
end of a very long era, a very successful era. And I'll be pouring one out for the Hemi when it comes, and I'm very excited to see what this new Dodge is going to be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've done a great job with that car. I mean, they've done more with less than I think any car company has. And the fact that we're excited about seeing whatever the next iteration of this thing is just speaks volumes to how well they've marketed it and just how passionate people are about it. It's a great engine family. And yeah, I mean, it's as much as I like the idea of electric cars, I'm going to be sad when these things disappear. I'll be won't say I will have one in my garage or something, but I definitely want something that makes a lot of noise.
You want to see
And
one
then
on the
not
road. That's the way I always feel about stuff like
Oh,
this.
yeah.
I want it
Oh,
to
yeah.
exist, even if I'm not the person that owns it.
Yes, exactly.
Smith, we are kind of sort of bumping up against our time. So I'm wondering, we'll talk about this live here. Do we want to do some more news or do you want to do some comments?
Let's save up the comments for next week so we can really give them some more time.
Okay.
That's my thought. And we'll jump in and we'll just wrap up with some of the other news items that we want to talk about here because there's some good ones.
Okay. So let's go ahead and move on to the Buick Encore GX that it's just receiving a refresh. And as of we are talking about it right now, it has not yet debuted, but it will by the time this show goes live.
Yep, this is a debut for Thursday, February, whatever 16th. The day is after today, February 16th. So yesterday, in theory, if you're listening to us on Friday as we go live, 2024 Buick Encore GX. It's a refresh of the GX, but it's fairly significant for a couple of reasons. One is the exterior, the way it looks. The main changes you'll find are right up at the front. You've got much smaller headlights. You've got a completely redesigned fascia with a lower grille. It borrows a lot of design cues from the Buick Wildcat concept, which if you remember from last summer, really caught a lot of people's attention as just being a sharp, really good looking concept vehicle. It wasn't presented as a subcompact SUV, but the fact that Buick is following up on their promise, they said this is a signal of our design language on vehicles to come. We're seeing it here now on the Encore GX. It's not necessarily the first time we've seen it though, because the vehicle, the design may have been leaked by the China's Information of Ministry and Technology for the version that was going on sale there. And then we actually saw some spy photos, I think back in December, of a new Buick Encore that I guess they just decided, hey, I need to go get my coffee at Dunkin' Donuts. I heard Ben Affleck is there. I don't care if it's not camouflaged. I'm getting down there. So, I mean, we sort of knew the look was coming. And I think it's a good look. This is also the first instance of Buick using their new Tri-Shield badge on their products, where it's just 3 shields straight across. It's a new design for Buick. They're making a big deal out of that. Inside is arguably where there's a more significant change, because it's a completely revamped dash. Instead of having just your regular kind of old school style gauges for the driver with a touch screen in the middle, you now have what Buick calls their virtual cockpit system. And
Which
it's kind of
is
it's kind of a fancy name for saying we've got 2 displays under one big screen, which we're seeing a lot of.
That is the theme these days. In the last
Yep.
2 years, 18 months, like 2 screens, 1 bezel is just the trend of the moment in terms of automotive interiors. Basically, all of those crossovers we talked about last week, and even the Mustang that we talked about last week, they're all doing that, at least on, some trim levels. The Mustang, we kind of mocked a little bit for the base model, having them separated, but yeah, 2 screens, Bruce, 1 bezel is the hot thing to do.
And
it's
remind
an improvement.
me,
I was just gonna say it's an improvement over what we've had before, because like when we started going to infotainment screens, touch screens, I mean, it's like the thing looked like a Fisher Price tablet that someone just stuck right on top of the dash, and it just looked terrible. I mean, it just stuck up like a sore thumb or something. But this looks much better.
I think it's a definite improvement from the outgoing model. It's a cleaner look. It doesn't look quite as busy. But it doesn't wipe away all of the tactile controls. You still have dials and buttons below the repositioned air vents in the dash. You still have a shift stalk that comes up in a traditional sense from the center console. But Bruce, last week, were we talking about the Chevy Trailblazer last week, or was that the week before?
No, it was last week, bud.
That was last week. Now, do you remember what the infotainment screen was on that? 11-inch, maybe?
Yes.
Goes, guess what? The Encore GX has an 11-inch center touch screen, which ironically Buick says is the largest in its segment, although it's sharing it. I mean, it's the same setup that you get in the Trailblazer. The 11-inch center touch screen. The driver has an 8-inch center display, or not a center display, but a 8-inch driver display.
Digital instrument cluster. Yeah.
Yes. And they're both combined under one big screen. Buick says then there is a total of 19 inches of diagonal screen space. It's kind of an odd way of describing it, but I mean, it's accurate, since, I mean, if you were to measure that one big screen from one end to the other, it's going to be a fair amount bigger than 19 inches, but the usable screens, those are the 2 sizes. So they choose to describe it that way. Another big news for the Encore is they have the Avenir top of the line edition that you can now get on the Encore GX. You couldn't get that before. They also have the ST still, which is sort of the sporty model. They've kind of just revamped that a little bit. With the Avenir, you are going to get just some more upscale leather. You're going to get a 2-tone leather finish on the inside. Some brighter trim pieces on the outside, chrome wheels. The ST model will give you more black trim. Powertrains carryover. It's either a 1.2 liter or a 1.3 liter turbo 3.
Right.
Making either 137 horse or 155. Where do we see that again, Bruce?
Those are the exact same from the Trailblazer we talked about last week.
The exact same from the Trailblazer. And it's available in front wheel drive or all wheel drive. Front wheel drive, you get the CVT. All wheel drive, you get
9-speed automatic, like the Trailblazer.
So it's Buick's version of the Trailblazer, but it's out. And I mean, I think it's an attractive looking small SUV. I think it looks a lot better than it did. I think the interior's a marked improvement. And we kind of said the same thing last week about the Trailblazer.
We did.
And Buick has released some pricing, starting prices at least. The Preferred, which is your entry level, $26,895. That includes destination. All of these prices include destination.
That's reasonable. I gotta say.
I think it's reasonable. The ST starts at $28,095. The Avenir starts at $33,195. It's a fairly plush small SUV for the price.
Totally.
I'm not sure
Yeah.
about the virtual cockpit system. When I hear virtual cockpit, I mean, I'm thinking of, okay, am I putting a visor on and then, everything is just like right in front of me and I can reach up and touch stuff like Iron Man and move stuff around.
It's just branding,
Yeah, I
They
know,
gotta
but I
call it
think
something.
It sounds cool.
it sounds cool, but it's just it's not a good branding choice in my branding opinion.
Okay,
It's,
fair
it's
enough.
not like premature electrification.
Well, let's move on to our last bit of news for
Yes.
today, and that is the fact that Cadillac secretly, kind of, sorta, or not super publicly at least, announced that they will be
Mhm.
debuting 3 electric vehicles this year, and
Mhm.
all of them will actually go into production next year in
Right.
2024. So we'll see them this year, but you're not going to be able to buy them till next year.
Right. And this came out, Cadillac, they just had a fairly short business update that journalists were invited to, and they were talking about, just, hey, here's how good we're doing last year. There's some other things um, that we can't talk about now that we'll probably talk about next week. But the things that we can talk about, they did say, hey, we're going to debut 3 new EVs this year. Now, no details are offered on those, obviously.
No.
But we are told that these are global debuts, so they won't necessarily be 3 EVs for the United States or for North America, which means, okay, the odds are pretty good. We'll probably see one that's going to be specific for China.
Yes.
Um, and then maybe 1 or 2 for the US. I mean, one might be specific to Europe. We don't know for
Cadillac
sure.
is such a small footprint in Europe. I would bet one might be China exclusive, and then the other
Mhm.
2 might be for both the US and China, or maybe US
Right.
only.
Mhm.
But I just kind of putting on my auto writer hat, I wouldn't
Mhm.
think they would do a Europe exclusive model. Maybe they'll prove
Mhm.
me wrong. I don't know, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, the whole point is it's still up in the air. I think if I remember correctly, it was established before that Cadillac, they're working on a small electric crossover, a full size SUV, and then a 3-row SUV.
Yep.
So I mean that would take up the 3 right there. From there on, I'm afraid we don't have anything else to offer that wouldn't be just blind speculation.
We do have one thing that it borders on speculation, but also not. So Cadillac has filed trademarks for several names.
Yes.
Now, I have been writing about trademarks for a very long time. Filing a trademark from an automaker does not mean that this name is going to be used.
Oh,
It
we
just
get
means that they
trademarks
think they
constantly.
might use it, and so they want to protect it in case they decide to. So filing a trademark is not a guarantee. But
Right.
they have filed trademarks for ascendic, luministic, optic, symbolic, and vistic.
That's a lot of
So
cues.
Mhm.
yeah,
That's a
it
lot of
still
cues without U's behind them, and the writer in me hates that.
well, it
I
messes
don't
me up because it's lyric, but the I makes it like that high sound, which is why I always want to say celestique rather than celestic.
Yep.
And so I want to
Mhm.
say ascendique, luministique. Like I want to put
Yep.
that thing on there, but that's not the way
Basically,
they
where
want
you
us to
see a
say them.
Q, swap in a C, and you're good to go.
Or a K, yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, ascendic, luministic. Luministic is kind of a cool name. Ascendic is a good name, I think,
Yeah.
for an electric SUV. And ascendic, Vistic, that sounds like
I
the
don't
next
love
video
Vistic.
card I'm going to put in my computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Symbolic isn't bad. Symbolic could be a really good like Halo vehicle, which I don't know that any of these are going to be, but like this is the symbolic Cadillac. Like that could work.
Yeah, it
Okay,
it 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 it
fine.
it,
You
it,
can
it seems it
disagree.
seems kind of weird. Point being, 3 of them are going to come this year. We'll find out as the year goes on.
Yep,
So keep an eye out for that. You can always follow us at motor1.com to see the latest. And especially with EVs, insideevs.com. That's our
yep,
sister site with us that focuses just on electric stuff. They are the bosses when it comes to electric. You can always
totally.
follow them. And you can always email us, podcast@motor1.com. Say, hey guys, I have a question about this. Can you answer it? And probably no. We probably won't be able
Oh,
to answer
stop
that.
it.
But we can. But we
I
can.
will give
We
you
can
my
give some
opinion
good
on
fluff
anything.
with it.
You send me an email, I'll give you my opinion.
Okay, prove it. Send an email, podcast@motor1.com. Ask Bruce anything.
Sure. Let's go.
Anything.
Sounds like a new segment.
Gauntlet
Ask Bruce.
laid.
Yeah.
Gauntlet laid. How much paprika should I put in my fried chicken, Bruce?
I would say
Too late.
I was giving you. I would say like 2 to 3 tablespoons. Well, it depends
For
on
how
much
many
fried
pieces of
chicken you're
fried
making.
chicken?
Right.
2 or
that's
3
that's the thing.
tablespoons?
Well,
that feels like a lot of paprika. That's like if you're making like a fried chicken dinner. We are rambling like positively now. Do we have anything else to talk about here, Bruce?
no. If we're gonna save our comments for next week, then I think that's
let's save up our comments for next week because we're gonna have emails now to Bruce of some of the craziest
I'll
questions.
tell you
ever.
how much paprika to put in your chicken.
I don't know. Maybe paprika would make a good name for a car. The Buick Paprika.
The paprika.
The paprika.
Yeah. Yes,
the Cadillac paprika.
The Cadillac paprika. You could just send that to royalty check. My address, care of me, and I'll be happy to deposit that
it right now.
So yeah.
But Mark, please go ahead. I don't know if you have any social media places that you want to promote. You're free to promote your work here at motor1.com. But yeah, this is your time. Go for it.
Oh wow. I'm not on social media a whole lot. I mean, I've got my Twitter account, which is still under the Open Road Rambler blog. You can search for that.
There you go.
Okay.
Not terribly active. If you went out to the website that I have there, I haven't probably posted something in about a year. I was thinking about maybe porting that over somewhere and saving that and then linking to some of my other stuff. But I'm still kind of new at all this stuff, so I'm kind of figuring out as I go, and it's just cool. The journey is really the most fun part. But yeah, I'm around trying to ride as much as I can on weekends, pick up a few things during the week, and always happy to jump in and help. I mean, this is fantastic working with you guys, and hope to be part of Motor One for quite a long time.
No, we're happy to have you. Great rider, extremely knowledgeable on cars, and we definitely want to have you back on Rambling About Cars. You are a proper rambler.
Absolutely.
And my last spiel, podcast@motor1.com. Email us, comment us on our articles that go up every Friday at motor1.com. Comment on our YouTube videos that go up on Motor One Podcast. Get ready for the Rambling About Cars live coming up when, Bruce? Second week of
March, which, you know what? I haven't even looked at a calendar yet. I can't tell you what day that is. I'm going to do it right now. I'm vamping as I say this. That would be
March
week
15th, March 16th. March.
That looks right. Yes, March 15th. So
I was gonna say, I'm just guessing like middle of the month, Bruce. Don't tell me that looks right. March 15th.
No.
March 15th.
March 15th. Yeah.
March 15th. We're gonna aim for Rambling About Cars live.
No, we're not aiming for nothing. Do
or
do not. There is no try.
You did not just go Yoda on me. You did not just go Yoda.
Yes, of course.
Well, if you could go Ben Affleck and it's do or donut, but
you need to be on the show more.
Mark's coming back. Mark is coming back. What are you doing? What are you doing March 15th?
Exactly.
I don't think I have plans.
We're going live.
I got plans now.
I was going to wash my hair that weekend, but that day, but I'll save that for another night.
Guess what? It doesn't take that long.
No, not with as little as I have.
Rambling live. That's going to be special for more than just the reasons you're thinking, because following us it'll broadcast on YouTube. It'll also broadcast on Facebook. It'll broadcast on Twitter. So you can actually watch along, listen along with us there, and interact with us directly. Comment
we
live.
Will be able to put that on the show, and we will.
Yes, we will be able to see those comments live. The setup that we have in play, we can see your comments live. You then become a co-host to some degree.
Yep. Totally.
You then become part of the Rambling About Cars team, and we are extremely excited to do that.
Yeah.
That's
But
gonna be
that's going to
awesome.
be our show for tonight. So good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Thank you for whatever time you decided to listen to this show. And just a quick thing, when we do go live, this show will still be coming out on Fridays, just as
Yes.
you thought it would. As you know, if you are used to, Friday morning, Friday afternoon, Friday evening, listening to this show as you're cooking dinner or commuting home from work or whatever, we're still going to be there. That doesn't change a thing. So, yeah. But yeah, that's everything. Mark, thanks for joining us. And that's going to be the
Thanks for
show for
having
tonight.
me.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
We'll see you.
Fantastic.
Bye bye, everybody.